Hello and welcome to Good Games Spawn Point, the show for gamers by gamers. I'm Bajo.
And I'm Hex.
And I am Darren.
Coming up on the show, we conquer the Earth one turn at a time with Civilization 6.
Plus, we join the Time Patrol and fight to repair history in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2.
There's nothing quite like a Dragon Ball brawl, if you know what I'm saying.
Excellent pun, Darren. But how about refocusing those processing cycles and giving us your trivia question for the week?
Oh, certainly, Bajo. Energize your memory banks, spawnlings. It's time for a Darrin's Challenge! Today, I'm asking you this. In Portal 2, what are the names of the two co-op robots GLaDOS calls Orange and Blue? Answer at the end of the show.
Oh, yes. Oh, it's a test of my memory, Darren.
Well, how about we go to Goose's gaming picks while you think about it, Hex? Goose!
Goosey!
Hey guys!
Hey Goose, have you played Portal 2 and are you good at it?
Of course I played Portal 2, it's one of my favourite games. What about you guys?
Yeah.
Is it Snodgrass and Encyclopedia?
Negative.
No?
Not even close.
Really?
Alright, well, here are my picks for this week. And first up, the Canadian Toys R Us website may have just leaked the price of the upcoming Nintendo Switch. The site briefly put up a pre-order for the console for the price of 329 Canadian dollars, which, when converted to Australian dollars, is almost exactly the same. Of course, that's a completely unconfirmed price, and we won't know the real price until Nintendo makes an announcement. But Nintendo did make an announcement about the price of their upcoming mobile game, Super Mario Run. If you own an Apple mobile device, then on December 15th, you'll be able to get it for 15 Australian dollars. There will be a limited free demo version available, but you'll need to pay if you want it all. No update was given on the Android version's release date, however that is due to come out sometime next year. And finally, Xbox recently celebrated its 15th anniversary, and as part of the celebrations, head of Xbox Games Aaron Greenberg showed off the gargantuan original prototype of the first Xbox. Phew, there's no way that thing would have fit under my TV. Although I probably would have been able to put my TV on top of it. And that's it for this week. Back to you guys in the studio. I should play Portal 2 more. That was a good game.
Thanks, Goose. Since the dawn of civilization, humans have spent their existence exploring and conquering the Earth. You all certainly seem to like it.
Yes, Darren, it is what we do, and undoubtedly the best game to do that in is Civilization 6, the latest in the long-running and complex strategy game about world domination.
You're plotting a new course again, aren't you?
The currents before us are ever-changing. We must adapt and press forward if we are to see our journey's end.
And how will we know when we get there?
If you've never played a Civilization game before, it's basically a turn-based empire simulator. You pick a world leader from history, then sit back and try to be the best civilization on Earth.
And there are a few ways to win. You can have the most culture and tourism by building world wonders or having great people. There's also a religious victory if you convert the whole world to follow your religion. Or a science victory if you manage to get out into outer space. And of course there's domination, where you go to war and conquer.
Yes, war never changes, Darren. I spent most of my first playthrough at war with England.
We are not amused.
Hey, they started it!
As our protests are in vain, we hereby declare war.
And while it is very tempting to attack and conquer all of your neighbours, like everything else in this game, your actions will have deep and far-reaching consequences.
That's right. If you wage war too much, other civilizations will label you a warmonger, which makes it trickier to deal with them diplomatically. And it can really set your civilization back.
Although one of the new features in Civ 6 is the casus belli system, where you can justify going to war in certain situations. This can mean less of a warmonger penalty if you're forced into conflict, or if you have a good reason to start a war.
Yes, in fact, there are quite a few new features and changes, which is actually a big deal, because the last game, Civilization 5, was near perfect, and it got more perfect with every single update. The biggest change is districts. Now, as you plan out your city, you physically place certain buildings on tiles on the map.
It sounds like a simple addition, but it actually makes your decisions much more permanent and trickier. You give up land and resources to place a district, but once it's down for good.
The purpose of districts, and many other changes in the game, is to make you focus more on each particular city and its purpose. It's about specializing more and cloning less.
Yes, I think you're right, Darren. In other Civilization games, I found I would always just make the same city over and over again. So I think this is to stop ICS, or Infinite City Spread, where you just clone the same city. Now, to be successful, I think you really do have to focus and specialize with every single city you build. There's a lot to think about, and it can be quite daunting at first.
Well, that's true, Bajo, but there are a lot of guides online, and really the easiest way to learn is to just play on some of the easier difficulties and try things out. It's actually a very easy game to play, it's just difficult to master.
Oh, I was impressed with the new visual design. The game looks and feels a bit more like a board game now. You even place cards down for bonuses, and the way units move about and fight is quite pleasing to the ocular circuits. I did have some trouble with rogue barbarians, though. Here I was building my civilization in peace, and those ruffians kept storming into my cities.
Yes, you really do have to watch out for those barbarians now.
Yeah, they're so mean. And if you ignore them, they just keep building more and more advanced units.
They're a much bigger part of the game now. Gotta squish them quick.
Oh, I also liked how the leaders now have their own distinct personalities. In previous games, they all played the same, but now they play more in accordance with their own idiosyncrasies. I quite liked Teddy Roosevelt myself. What a fabulous moustache!
Yes, technically the leader AI hasn't actually improved much, but all their little hidden agendas and idiosyncrasies make them much more interesting to play against now. This is a fantastic sequel with endless depth. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 rubber chickens.
Yeah, I agree, Bajo. We haven't even gone deep into the multiplayer yet. This is a whole other game when you're playing against real humans. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 as well.
Oh, I just discovered another Civilization fact that was sitting in my database. Earlier this year, the game's developers announced they would be releasing Civilization Edu next year, a version of the game built for teaching history and geography in schools.
Whoa, wouldn't it be great if all video games had an educational version? Oh, we could just play games in school all day.
Oh, well, a healthy balance of learning and play is important for young human minds, Bajo, and games are becoming more common in schools.
Yes, in fact, just a few weeks ago, teachers from around Australia met in Melbourne to discuss how games can better be incorporated into the classroom. And that was at a fancy event called the Education and Games Summit.
So what the Games Summit is all about, Education in Games Summit. The idea is that from this year on, all across Australia in all schools, from foundation to year 10, we will see that there is a new type of curriculum, the digital technologies curriculum, and the idea is to deliver it with the help of games. How can you learn to think computationally? How can you learn to code? Well, games are a super conduit for doing that.
Games are really exploding as an important part of education because they're one of the ways that we learn to think with information and develop computational literacy. There are a lot of challenges to bringing games into the curriculum, into classrooms, and one of the biggest things is that classrooms were really set up around print culture, or really an oral culture, originally with the teacher giving information to kids who write it down and then spit it back. But games work with a very different logic. They work with a logic of interaction, where you're learning through experimenting and trying, learning through failure. So it's an entirely different logic than how most of schools are set up. I think one of the real challenges is making sure that we really have good quality games that embrace the kind of values that we have as gamers.
I first started sketching my ideas in PowerPoint, then Photoshop, Illustrator, and Sketch.
So who's here today are teachers, educators, primary school, secondary school teachers, and they are the ones who are asked to deliver the new curricula.
I teach year 7 through to year 12. I do teach games. I do scratch games in Year 7 and Year 8, and I'm looking for trickling that back down and upping the ante a little bit, and as we're shifting across to integrating the Victorian curriculum and also the national curriculum for digital technologies. And today what I'm intending to get from this conference is some practical ideas that I can take into the classroom.
The kids are making their decisions a lot earlier about their careers, and we want to see if we can be a part of helping them make their mind about coming into entertainment, games, programming, 3D art, all that sort of stuff.
While we were teaching the bilingual Chinese program, we found that games can actually stimulate learning to quite extent. Also, I've been doing some programming in high school, so I was trying to see whether I can blend some of those skills into the new digital learning environment to the students so that they can much more engage in the content and therefore have much higher interests in the learning area.
There actually is now a lot of excitement about games in classrooms. I mean, you're looking at a generation of teachers who've now grown up playing games. And I think to some extent, things like Minecraft, right? Just the success of this game that is so clearly about creative problem solving and about creative expression, and that it has gotten, I think, a lot of teachers to say, well, there's something there.
Oh, isn't it great to see more games being used in schools? What sort of educational games did you two play when you were spawnlings?
I played a game that was designed to teach you how early settlers lived during the gold rush. It was really full on. You had to kind of gather resources, but if you made up a camp on the side of the road and went to sleep, you could get robbed during the night.
I played a game called Spellcopter, where you were just a helicopter moving letters around to spell words. Simple, but effective.
Oh, how nostalgic. Well, you two are now needed at the Ask Spawn Point desk.
All right, it's question time, and first up we have this one from Soccer Star, who is in Canberra in the ACT. Hi, Good Game SP. One question: in FIFA 17, it doesn't let me do the journey. Hex, you're awesome. Darren, you're smart. Bajo, you tried to make Pepole drink from the noob cup, so you're a noob!
Well, firstly, I must defend myself there. So, Mr. So-called Soccer Star, golly, 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 goal! If that is your real name, Darren and Hex try to make me drink from the noob cup all the time. So if trying to make people drink from the noob cup makes someone a noob, then wouldn't they be noobs too? I mean, at least be consistent with your logic.
All right, well, settle down, Bajo. As for why you can't do the journey mode in FIFA 17, well, I'm going to guess you're playing on either an Xbox 360 or PS3. Because sadly, for whatever reason, those versions don't have the journey mode.
Yes, it's only available for the PC, PS4 and Xbox One editions. I guess the older consoles just weren't powerful enough for them to run the journey mode.
Yeah, I guess not. But let's move on to this one now from Phonic the Hot Dog, who is in Bajo's Mega Drive in South Australia.
Phonic the Hot Dog?
Is it like Sonic in a hot dog suit?
With a fedora on. Yeah.
Because of the F.
Yeah. Get out of my Mega Drive and bring it back to New South Wales. Get out of it. Hi guys, I'm the bun version of Sonic the Hedgehog, and I discovered Bajo is a noob in 2 ways in the Skylanders Imaginators review. 1, he said that it was the 6th game in the series, but what about Skylanders Battlecast you reviewed earlier? 2, you said that somewhere, somebody would make a Crash Bandicoot game someday. They are making 3 remakes for PS4. Bajo made 2 noob mistakes in 1 segment. Phonic out. Ha! Ha!
Oh, what do you have to say about that,
Okay.
Bajo?
Well, firstly, I hope you are seeing this Soccer Star goal. These are more baseless and unfounded noob accusations against me, and I will not stand for them. I say, Hex, I will sit for them.
Okay, so you're pleading innocent to all of these accusations.
This is correct, indeed I am.
All right, well, how about you get Darren on the phone to just clarify, see what he thinks about all this.
Oh, would you like a drink of vindication? Because you're about to get a drink of vindication.
What does that taste like?
Served from me. Tastes like justice.
Hello.
Hey, Darren, it's Bajo here. How's it going?
Oh, hello, Bajo. How can I help you?
Well, this spawnling here is calling me a noob because I said Imaginators was the 6th Skylanders game, and because I said I was hoping for a new Crash Bandicoot game. And apparently, that makes me a noob because there was Skylanders Battlecast, and they're doing remakes of Crash Bandicoot. Let's discuss this in detail.
Well, the spawning does present a compelling charge of noobery. Do you have anything to say for yourself?
Yes. I mean, when I said Imaginators was the 6th game, I meant it was the 6th one in the main series. Obviously. Battlecast was a spin-off game for mobiles. It doesn't even use the portal, so I wasn't counting that.
That is a fair point. However, on review,
reviewing the evidence, I must present you a yellow card for this infraction. You did not specify you were referring to the main series of games, making your statement technically incorrect, and you a bit of a noob. One more yellow card today will earn you a noob cupping. So I hope you have a better defense for your next charge of noobery.
You've got such long arms, Darren. Well, I think my defense is pretty rock solid. I mean, we were talking about wholly original games, not pretty versions of old games. And secondly, it was you, Darren, who said you wanted a proper new Crash game. I just agreed with you and said, I'm sure someone is working on it somewhere. So if you want to call me a noob, then you, sir, are also a noob. Turn that mirror around and look at the face of noobery.
A very compelling case indeed, Bajo. So on this charge, I must find you free of any noobery.
Yes.
Well done.
Vindication!
All right, well, it seems like you're off the hook then, Badge. Thanks for that, Darren.
Oh, anytime. Goodbye.
Actually, sorry, Darren, just before you go, to be fair to Bajo, I just thought we could maybe do a noob complaint against me. I have one here from the Waffle King, who is in Foodie Land outside Australia. Kindred spirit of mine, I would say. Dear GGSP, Hex is a noob! When you said it was an April Fool of Roblox being on the Sega Genesis, Hex said it was on the Sega Mega Drive version that was an April Fool. Try getting out of this one, Hex! P.S. Darren, do these.
I am COOL.
If you do not answer, I will send my Waffle Army to attack you! Waffle King out.
Oh, well, thank you for the letter, Your Highness. And Hex, obviously, you're in the clear with that one. I mean, the Genesis and the Mega Drive are just different names for the same console, so it doesn't matter what you call it, really. And in fact, since it was called the Mega Drive here in Australia, that would arguably be the more accurate term. So I find you innocent of any noobery.
Gave yourself an easy one there, didn't you, Hex?
Well, maybe. They're all noob accusations. They're all valid. Anyway, thanks, Darren. See you later.
My pleasure. Goodbye.
All right, well, let's move on to this one from Joel, who is in Wollongong in New South Wales.
What is the difference between the PS4 Pro and the PS4?
Well, Joel, the only real difference is the PS4 Pro is more powerful, so it can run PS4 games with enhanced graphics.
Yes, and how those graphics are enhanced varies from game to game. Some opt to run at faster frame rates, some have higher resolutions, some have just more graphical effects, and some games even let you pick which enhancements you would prefer.
Other than that, it's essentially identical to a standard PS4. It runs the exact same games, the menus look the same, the controller is pretty much the same, and it's worth noting that not all games can take advantage of the Pro's better hardware. Developers have to either patch old games or write in support for the new games. But I think it's fair to assume that most new games coming out will support it.
Oh, it does actually have a physical button though, which is something the other PS4 doesn't. I like physical buttons.
I know you do.
I like the click-a-clack.
It's because your cat turns the other ones on, but
all the time!
Just brushing
No more-
past with a little furry tail.
No more touchscreens, please, and the buttons, no more touch buttons. But the main reason you'd really want a Pro is if you have access to a super top-of-the-line TV that can support ultra-high-definition 4K resolutions and high dynamic range. That's really what the Pro has been designed for. So if you don't have one of them, then most of the benefits of the Pro will be a little lost on you.
But if you don't already have a PS4, then there isn't really a reason to go with the standard one over a Pro, other than the fact that the old one is a bit cheaper. Although saving money is never a bad thing.
And it's always nice to future-proof yourself a little. Even if you don't have a slick TV that can do 4K resolutions right now, maybe you will someday. And I'm still excited about those games that can run at higher frame rates on the lower resolutions. That's an important thing.
Yeah, very true. On that note, though, we're out of time for this week, so if you'd like to ask us a question, then you can go here and send it in.
Shall we go back to Studio Hex?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
I don't have a fancy TV. Have you got a fancy TV, Bajo?
No, but I've got a fancy face. Yeah. All right, guys, are you ready to save history and unleash some key blasts?
You know it, Bajo. It's time to review Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. Kamehameha!
Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 continues 2 years after the story of the original game. There, a group known as the Time Patrol formed to keep history from being manipulated by the villains Toa and Mira. But now they're back.
Yes, so once again, you get to create your own time patroller and take them into battle, going back in time to relive some of the biggest moments in the Dragon Ball timeline.
Yes, the whole story did feel like an excuse to create a sort of best-of Dragon Ball experience, didn't it? Which, if you're a fan of the anime and just want a bit of nostalgia, is fine, but as an original story, it comes across as a disjointed mishmash of moments and characters.
Gameplay-wise, you'll spend your time jumping between big battles and roaming around the open-world town of Konton City. In Konton City, you'll be able to take on side missions or visit the school to learn new techniques and advance your character's training level.
Great work. That's enough for now. You know, you're a lot better than I was when I started training.
It's also a large multiplayer hub where you can meet other players and do quests with them.
But really, all that stuff just feels like busy work in between the fights, which are the real meat and bones of this game. There's some deep battle mechanics though, with lots of combos and special moves to master. But for the most part, I found you didn't really need to use them. The quickest way to win most fights was just to do that sneaky dodge move to get behind an enemy, and then you can just mash one attack button to unleash a huge combo.
Yeah, I mean, the fights definitely look a lot more epic if you mix up your moves, but really, what's the point in looking fancy if it's not the most effective tactic?
Well, what style of fighting works well does largely depend on which race you choose and how you decide to spend your attribute points as you level up.
True, but I found the RPG side of this turned it into a bit of a grind. Most fights you can breeze through, but then you'll hit something that can wipe you out in a few hits.
Sorry, but you failed. You need to train harder.
So you must go back and do side quests and training until you've leveled up enough. I like the RPG mechanics in theory, but with this I felt like they were more of a roadblock to the fun.
I will say though, it can look great at times. In the heat of battle, when you're pulling off some epic moves, it nails the feel of the anime. And there's some nicely animated cutscenes too.
It's up to me. I will change the future!
But on average, it's not going to blow you away with its graphics.
Affirmative. And I always feel games with big 3D arenas in the sky are a bit of a cop-out. It doesn't take much to design empty space, does it?
No, but you know what? I think the biggest disappointment about this game is that it is just more of the same. It is not different enough from the last one. However, I think fans will get a kick out of the combat and reliving some of those battles. So I'm going to give it 3 rubber chickens.
I'm going to give it 2.5 out of 5.
Kame, blah.
Darren.
All right, Darren, we're almost out of time, so let's hear the answer to your challenge.
Affirmative. At the start of the show, I asked you this. In Portal 2, what are the names of the 2 co-op robots GLaDOS calls Orange and Blue? And the answer is... Peabody and Atlas.
You know what? That game's just about due for a replay. It's so good.
Well, maybe over the holidays, Bajo, because next week is actually our last episode of Good Game Spawn Point for 2016.
Oh my.
Better break out those Xmas decorations, Darren, and you know what for? Because we're going to be reviewing Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Ah, Pokemon. Ah, Pokemon.
Oh, which starter Pokemon are you going to choose? Torracat?
Well, I think Dartrix actually, Hex.
Oh, what about the dancing Pokemon, Brionne?
Oh, it's always such a tough decision. Well, until next time, may all your games be good ones. Hex out.
Bajo out.
Darren out.
Darren, with Christmas upon us, are you going to release a Christmas album this year?
Oh, actually, I'm releasing a 3-CD set, a best-of all my greatest Christmas songs.
Oh my gosh. 3 CD set. Did you have a favourite?
Oh, Good King Kerry.